my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today we're going to be looking at the DC Collectibles DC Essentials Harley Quinn figure. This is one of 4 figures from the third wave of DC Essentials figures. DC Essentials are 7-inch tall figures with a massive amount of articulation. Actually very pleased with what DC has been cranking out for this line so far. So let's take a look at the packaging. You can see we've got Harley Quinn in here. Looks like she comes with a mallet and a pistol. On the top here, DC Essentials Harley Quinn. A little lower, DC Collectibles. Looks like it's the 13th figure in the line. They must be counting the 2-packs in that number as well. It says direct from the source because it comes from DC itself. On one side we've got Harley Quinn, the action figure posed. The other side there's actually nothing. On the top we've got a Harley Quinn logo. The bottom, barcode, and some other useless junk. And on the back side we've got a description of the figure posed with her accessories, as well as sort of a checklist for the rest of the wave. We've got Batgirl, Joker, and Nightwing. So far it looks like only 2 of the 4 figures have been released. I've received Harley Quinn and Nightwing so far. Really hoping the other 2 figures get released next Wednesday. So with no further ado, let's check her out. And as you can see here are the 2 figures claiming their space in front of my comics with the unopened figures I've got in semi-recent history. With all of the other DC Essentials figures that I have unopened, you can see Batman and Deathstroke, and of course the 3 Doomsday 2-packs, which are not exactly labeled as DC Essentials, but the figures have identical articulation and fit in perfectly. You can see there's Harley Quinn with room for the rest of the wave next to her. Alright, well now that we got this figure out of the package, here she is with all of her accessories laid out. She comes with a mallet and Harley Quinn sort of traditional popgun type thing. But before we look at the accessories, let's take a look at this figure. I've been really excited for Series 3 Batman figures coming out in this line. Wave 2 was a complete pass for me as none of them were Bat or related at all. Look at her expression on her face. I think it looks pretty good. Eye makeup's a little, it's decent. Kind of have some smoke going around it. Love this. I don't even know what you call this thing. Got a little paint issue up here I see. So far the sculpt looks really nice. Loving the articulation. Loving, the paint job is really good for the most part. I think she looks pretty nice. Really excited to have a 7-inch Harley Quinn in my collection, or rather another 7-inch Harley Quinn. I will say that taking a closer look at her eye makeup, it is definitely a little bit wonky. It's like they tried to make it so it's not applied clean. I don't know, it just doesn't quite look right in my opinion. Next, let's check out her accessories. First of all, here's her mallet. Has the red up top and black below, kind of nice little detail there. Red handle. And of course the Harley Quinn logo on the other side. Here she is holding her mallet with 2 hands. She can also hold it with 1 hand, and with her double jointed elbows and massive articulation, she can achieve a lot of different poses with it. Here she is holding it with 1 hand behind her head. And then here's her new mallet compared to all the different mallets in my action figure collection. Not all of these are Harley Quinns. A lot of them are Jokers. In fact, some of them are not even Harley Quinn or Jokers. They came with other action figures, and I thought it was appropriate to keep them with my Joker armory. As you can see, tons of different mallets over the years. Many of them are Harley Quinn mallets. Hers is what I'd say kind of an average size compared to all of them. Next, let's check out Harley Quinn's Popgun. Often Harley Quinn figures come with a gun with sort of a corkscrew, wooden pop in it. This one does not seem to have that. It almost feels like it should come with an accessory, maybe a removable one of those, but it doesn't. Here it is from all angles. I will say one thing I noticed is it's black on the right side and kind of reddish on the left side, keeping Harley Quinn colors present, which is pretty cool. Nice little detail to add to it. Beyond that, it's pretty boring. Here's the figure holding her gun, pointing it forward. The figure does have a trigger finger, and I had to pull it out a little bit to get to fit around properly. One thing that makes me a little bit uncomfortable is this actual trigger on the gun. I think it could break off very easily if you're not careful. Her hand, you can see it kind of stretching back into place. When you put it in there, it'll immediately, mine's a little stretched out because I made it that way, which is fine, but it would try to push against this, and I saw it actually pushing the trigger sort of outward. You can kind of see that. Just be really careful with this. Pull her finger forward like so before you put the gun in there, and everything will be just fine. Here she is holding her gun in an upright position. I do notice with the hinge on her hand, kind of allows her a little personality, allowed to do several different things with a gun. And then here's her gun that came with the DC Essentials figure compared to several other Harley Quinn guns from over the years. Now that we've taken a look at her accessories, let's check out the height of this figure. This is a DC Essentials figure, pretty comparable to the older DC Direct figures. They're typically 7 inches tall, but Harley Quinn's a little shorter than some of the main characters. So, this character here looks like she's sitting at just about 6.5 inches from the top of her hat and about 6.4 inches from the top of her head. Next, let's check out her articulation. DC Essentials figures kind of pride themselves on highly articulated, which is absolutely awesome, and in the 7-inch scale, which is great. So her head, of course, it can go around, can look down about that far, which is pretty nice, and it can look up. It can really look up pretty far. The DC Essentials heads have a pretty nice range of motion. Their shoulders, they can go out just about 90 degrees, a hair less. Of course, can do all the stuff you want it to do. Bicep cut, double jointed elbows. Well, that one seems to be a little bit stuck. I'll have to work on that one later. But it can completely pretty much go inside, which is pretty cool. Nothing going on at the forearm area. Of course, we do have a wrist swivel in 2 places. Well, this sort of piece moves, and then her actual wrist can move as well, and it has a hinge on it. Of course, she's got an ab crunch. Really a lot of motion there. She can dance and do all kind of stuff. Pretty cool. If you combine her head and that, go looking down that far and looking up that far. Pretty nice. Her legs go out just a hair below 90 degrees. Very nice, if I may say so. Of course, once again, ball joint goes all the way around. She's got a thigh cut up here. Double jointed knees go pretty much all the way back. She does have a shin swivel. And then one thing I've noticed very interesting about her, she has a completely different type of ankle compared to the other DC Essentials figures that I have. So it can go up and down, of course, and it can go around, but it does not tilt. This is the first DC Essential figure that does not have ankle rockers, which is an awesome feature they have. She's also the first one that doesn't have that sort of ball between her shin and her foot connecting it, which has been sort of a complaint of mine. It's kind of a pain to master and actually tilt. So she has a little bit of a different articulation scheme than some of the other DC Essentials figures, but I must say, I think I'm liking it. The closest thing to an ankle tilt that she can do is if you were to move her joint at the shin and put her foot forward, then it could tilt. But of course then her design's on the back, and it's definitely not how it's supposed to be. This is even more of a pain than the usual DC Essentials articulated ankles. Next, let's check out some comparisons with other action figures. First of all, here she is next to the DC Collectibles DC Icons Harley Quinn. This is a Harley Quinn in the lower end of the 6-inch scale, even smaller than Mattel DC Universe Classics figures, but a very similar articulation point as the DC Essentials figures. As you can see, she is quite a bit shorter, and her articulation, of course, the head, very similar. Ab. She does have an ab crunch as well, sort of two ab crunches here, which this one does not have. She has pretty much, looks like everything the same here so far. Then downward, she doesn't have the thigh cut or the shin cut, but she does have ankle rockers that work a lot better than the DC Essentials Harley. Next, let's look at her with some other DC Essentials figures. Here she is with the figures I got from the first series, Batman and Deathstroke. These guys are a little bit taller than her, but in my opinion they scale up very nicely together. Deathstroke actually seems to be quite a bit taller than Batman, which is interesting. These figures are of great quality, great detail, great articulation, and world building has begun. We're the third wave in with some various 2-packs as well. I hope this line continues for a really long time. It gets us a ton of Bat characters. Here she is next to the Doomsday Clock Watchmen figures. These figures were not labeled as DC Essentials, they were just simply labeled as Doomsday Clock figures, but they are identical scale and articulation to the DC Essentials figures. Really wishing this would be the standard or norm for DC Collectibles moving forward, but I consider these to be part of the same parent line. And then here she is next to Mime and Marionette from Doomsday Clock. Really happy to have some sort of Joker-esque thug type figures. These ones ended up working for the Joker in the Doomsday Clock comic, at least for a period of time. They scale up very nicely with Harley. Marionette and Harley are almost the same height. Harley's a little bit shorter. I absolutely love Mime and Marionette. They're probably my favorite DC Collectibles figures that were made within the last year or so. But I'm also a huge sucker for first-time characters in action figure form. And then here she is next to Nightwing, the only other figure I have from Series 3 so far. Currently my Joker and Batgirl are in stock at dcbservice.com, and I should get them within a week or so. Here she is next to the DC Collectibles Arkham Knight Classic Harley Quinn. This is probably my favorite 7-inch Harley Quinn that I have, at least in her classic outfit. Notice that she's scaled up pretty much evenly with the DC Essentials Harley. The DC Essentials figures do fit in with the Arkham collection pretty nicely. Love that DC Direct went back to their original 7-inch scale versus the 6-inch icons they were testing out, being incompatible with anything in the previous collection. Here she is next to the DC Collectibles DC Designer Series, Amanda Connor Harley Quinn. This is the only Harley Quinn from that series of 4 individual Harley Quinns that's sort of regular looking, regular style comic. This is made from a specific artist's point of view. She has kind of weak articulation, but scales up very nicely with this figure. Here she is compared to a couple of Mattel DC Universe Classics Harley Quinns. This was my favorite and default Harley Quinn for many years. Possibly is even still my favorite. Couldn't tell you with 100% certainty without giving it some serious thought. But it's a very nice figure. I love the classic design. You got both the option of a blue face and a white face Harley Quinn. Notice they're quite a bit shorter than DC Essentials figures, just like old times. DC Universe Classics and DC Direct, height difference. Next, here she is with some DC Collectibles, Batman the Animated Series, or the new Batman Adventures Harley Quinns. These are the shortest Harley Quinns probably in my collection, although the figure arts is pretty small as well. They're even smaller than the Icons Harley Quinn. These are also in their classic outfit. And none of these 3 figures are the exact same sculpt. They all have some differences, which is pretty cool. Next, I'll look at her with some other Harley Quinns that are in her non-classic suit. I'm going to look at some other toy line companies besides Mattel and DC Direct that we already checked out. Here she is next to some figure arts Harley Quinns. These are some of the smaller end of the 6-inch scale. Here she is next to some Mattel DC Superhero Girls Harley Quinn figures. All 3 variations that they've released, and I believe this line is actually done now. Here she is next to a Yamato Harley Quinn. I believe this to be some sort of older Japanese import figure. The figure is barely articulated at all, and is really undersized, but she comes with some really cool accessories, which is the main reason I got that figure. Here she is next to a couple of Mafex Harley Quinns. These ones are a little bit shorter than the DC Essentials, but they're getting taller and taller. They're pretty similar to the Multiverse or DC Universe Classics figures. Here she is next to a Mezco Harley Quinn, once again scaling up pretty similar to the Mafex and Multiverse figures. Here she is next to a Neca Harley Quinn, the only one that Neca has made, and she is also 7-inch scale, looking like she scales up pretty similar to the DC Essentials, just a hair taller. Here she is next to Dee Dee and Dee Dee, the twins. They're actually her granddaughters from the future of Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. Always really like these two characters, and these customs do scale pretty nice with this DC Essentials figure. Here she is next to a couple of Mattel wrestling figures that have sort of a Harley Quinn vibe to them. Here she is riding on the DC Funko Primal Age Joker Lizard vehicle type of item. Here she is standing in front of a Carnival-esque type of diorama piece. And here she is in my Harley Quinn apartment, sitting on her bed, feeding Bud and Lou or petting them. You can see all the different background accessories for my Harley Quinn apartment. And here she is next to her very own Harley Quinn thugs, designed after the Arkham universe Harley Quinn thugs that she had in both Arkham City, DLC, and Arkham Knight. You can see even have the Titan thug in the background, Harley Quinn style. And here she is with my entire collection of 6- and 7-inch Harley Quinn action figures. I don't believe I have every one they've ever made, but I'm damn sure pretty close. Here's a slightly better look at each one of the shelves of Harley Quinns. Top one, next one, and then the very bottom one. So all in all, I would say it's a very solid figure. Very nice, classic Harley Quinn. Good, crisp paint job. Great height, being the 7-inch scale. And great articulation. I bought my figure from DCBService.com for only $17. You have to pre-order quite a bit ahead of time to get it from there, but they give all the figures for 33% off. That is my one-stop shop for DC Direct type figures. If I were to give this figure a rating, I would give it probably a 7.5 out of 10. I like it quite a bit. I do think I like the Arkham Knight Classic Harley a little better, and I still probably like the DC Universe Classics Harley a little better as well, but she might be right after those guys. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comments below. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching the video. I'll talk to you guys real soon. The next Harley Quinn that is coming out, well, I know there's a Mezco one they showed recently. I know they canceled the Bombshells Harley Quinn. Really can't think of anything else that's coming out in the very near future. I'm sure they'll make some Harley Quinn figures for the Birds of Prey film. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Talk to you guys soon.